Hello and welcome to Not One Right Way, the podcast, a brand new podcast hosted by me, Melissa Manuel, she, her pronouns, and I'm here with my bestie, Marv Romero Aguinaga. Say hello.
Hello, I'm Marv Romero Aguinaga. I go by they, them, theirs pronouns.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
This podcast is about the entertainment industry as a whole, whether it's live action, video games, animation, maybe even some theater. It's essentially supposed to be, how did people get in? What's it like working in the industry? And how do you meet the people you meet? Because everyone says it's all about the networking.
It's about the networking, and it's also about the story. We want to understand how people got into what they're doing, whatever niche or specialty they have, what it means, what it looks like, and why it's important to them.
Yeah. We are both lovers of entertainment, I would say. We watch a lot of content. I think that's something we bonded over when we first became friends, where we'd just sit around watching TV for hours and hours. Whether it was Shameless on loop, which isn't even a good show, or
Wait, you're gonna have to cut that out.
I mean, it wasn't great. Like, looking back on it, I don't think that was one of our best choices.
To be fair, we also watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
That is true. And America's Next Top Model and other trashy reality TV. I think we have a wide palette.
I would say so, yeah. There's definitely some refinement in what we enjoy watching. We also love some trash, you know?
Like, we love our trashy, but we also love really good content. I don't know what that means to everybody, but I'm trying to think of a good example, but all that's coming to mind is trashy content.
Yeah.
I love me some The Bear. I mean, for me, my first favorite content is animation, so we'd watch a lot of Craig of the Creek, we'd watch a lot of Summer Camp Island, Steven Universe, stuff like that.
That's true, yeah. I'm trying to think back to, like, the day we met. What did we bond over?
Okay, I actually have this is a core memory for me. This is a canon event of when we met.
Okay.
So Marv and I met in college. We were both in this program called QuestBridge, which was for first gen low income students. And so you got to the school like 2 weeks before everyone else to take like a mini class at Colorado College. And we were all separated into groups. Like, you were going to be in this group with this specific group of students in your class. And I took a seat, and this person comes up to me, and they have a little hot chocolate in their hand and their bag in the other, and they're trying to sit down. And I say, I can hold your hot chocolate. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. And that person was Marv. And ever since then, they've been my friend. And I'll never forget that moment for me. It was like, I'm so glad Marv sat down next to me and let me hold their hot chocolate.
You said bag, but I'm pretty sure it was the heart-shaped rock that my grandma just, like, gave to me. Rock in
Whoa.
one hand, hot chocolate in the other, trying to
Okay.
sit down.
New lore unlocked. Like, I didn't remember why you couldn't sit down. I just like, you had too much in your hands, so I
Yeah, yeah,
had to help you.
yeah.
There's a lot of rocks in early friendship.
Girl, what?
Like, I just remember you were really into rocks when we first became friends. Like, we had that pet rock, or around Colorado Springs, there were a lot of rocks.
Yeah, the
Cozy.
719.
Yeah,
So
little
true.
rocks. But that's how we met, and
Yeah,
I'll never forget it. It's very important to me.
yeah. I think the first most impactful memory I have with you is it was the first day of class. We were walking over to Rastles.
Nasty
We're at a
Rasties.
yeah, nasty Rasties. And we're at a crosswalk. I don't know, we were saying something, but we said, like, the exact same thing at the same time.
Mm.
And this began the lore that we came out of the womb together.
Known each other for 50 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we complement each other well because I, every time we've talked about a show we like, whether it's a preschool show like Craig of the Creek or something like a sitcom, whether it's a Community or a trashy show like The Bachelorette, it's the discussions we get into. We're both thinking about it in very different ways, and the way you challenge me in terms of how to think about stuff. The content I'm watching is something I'm always so appreciative of, whether it's a silly take, a deep take. I don't know. I'm so grateful that I have you in my life. That's just one part of why I love you, but I'm very grateful.
I think for me, what I really appreciate about like watching and consuming media with you is just like you have a really great eye for things that I don't think I've really trained or honed into until I met you. And you being the sort of like film person that you are, like having the words to describe some of the things that I know I'm seeing as well, but you have that sort of like training and the language, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me.
That's the highest compliment I've ever gotten. I'm just out here thinking about cartoons way too much. It's my Roman Empire. That's how we met. That's how we've bonded, on top of many other things that I'm sure will come up throughout the journey of this podcast.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to talk to people in the industry who don't really get spotlighted as much. Like the PAs, I'm a PA, so I'm biased, I guess. But the PAs, the editors, the assistant editors, assistant directors, everyone who helps make this stuff happen that you see in the credits roll by, but you don't really know what they do, maybe. And I'm friends with a lot of those now because I'm working in the industry myself. And I'm listening to them talk about how they've met, oh, I met that person. And then another person's like, oh, how do you know them? I know them too. And it's really funny to see how small the industry ends up being because even though LA can feel very big, it ends up, if you work in the industry long enough, ends up being very tiny because people end up hiring their friends. So the more people you become friends with, that just ends up being your circle of work. It's like, yeah, I'll just hire this person because I worked with them on my last project and they're great. So the idea of this came from like, let's talk to these behind the scenes people and connect the dots of like how you met someone who helped you get a gig and how that kind of relationship unfolds and the community unfolds because it really is a community based art.
Mm.
So we're excited to bring those people on and introduce them to you all because I think they're all really cool. The the first ones we'll bring on are obviously people I already know. And Marv, you haven't met them before.
Uh,
Do you want to talk about your perspective on this since you're not actively in the industry?
yeah. To explain to the audience, to you people, that my background is in like nonprofit, community building, social work. Like I am a trained social worker, got the letters after my name, even.
Yeah.
So I'm like a people person. I honestly just like love to meet new people, hearing their story, hearing their background, and like my training has given me insight into sort of how to tease out these answers, how to get to know people in a way that's authentic. And I really appreciate being able to meet these entertainment industry people. First, because I just love meeting people, as I've stated. And second,
Mhm.
because I feel like there's this whole world that I know nothing about that I have this relationship to through Melissa and through many other people I've met that like speaks to a part of my life, like this creative part that I don't explore in my everyday, you know?
And I think it adds to that part of our relationship that is so centered on content. And now you'll get to be I think you're also kind of the eyes of the listener, maybe the listener who's not as immersed, and you'll get to ask those type of questions that I wouldn't think of as someone who's kind of just too in it. You'll
Mhm.
bring that perspective that they have of just, I don't know what a gaffer is. I don't know what a grip boy is. That's
Oh,
probably
that's the
something.
best boy.
Best boy, that's what it is. So I think you're gonna be that person, that perspective, and I think that's really fun.
So true. So true.
I'm excited to do this with you. I'm excited for people to listen and comment, the discourse, the drama.
We're gonna be starting discourse and drama on our little podcast.
I like to think so. What online space doesn't have discourse and drama?
I was gonna say Club Penguin, but
There's a lot of drama there.
there's a lot of drama there.
Ideally, though, we want it to be more wholesome than that. It should be a community space where you can make connections online with the people we talk to and the fans of the podcast, hopefully. That might be nice in the long run as we interview more and more people, creating an online community of people who love content and people who want to get to know more about how to come into the industry and ask questions. So we'll have an email, we'll have a Discord, we'll have an Instagram, a Tumblr for the Tumblr people out there so that you can be a part of this space as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Should be fun.
Feel like something else you can expect from this podcast is maybe a cookbook. I mean, this is obviously like a later thing. Like maybe maybe we don't jump straight into like the cookbook idea.
Yeah, long-term goals, stretch goals, healthy to have.
Yeah.
And just to tease, we'll hopefully have people on the podcast who have worked on crazy stuff like Thor Ragnarok, from To Drop Out to Blue Eyed Samurai, Barbie, animated content. So I know that's crazy to think about. Like most of the time, people who get interviewed are directors, actors, primarily actors. Every podcast I listen to is like, and here is America Ferrera. Here is Ryan Reynolds. And that's great. Actors are great, but I want to talk to anyone else. So that's going to be really cool to see the people who worked on those big name things that aren't just
Yeah.
the actors.
I love that, yeah. Because I feel like the purpose of this is not to interview people that talk about their job all day long. It's to interview people, get to know them and their job, and also how to do it.
And there's not one right way to do it.
There's not one right way to do it.
OMG, that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, roll credits, fade to black.
Roll credit. So we'll see you here every week on Mondays, wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, hopefully. I don't know. Wherever if you're listening to it, you found it, ideally. We look forward to chatting with you every week. Bye.
Bye.